Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Right now I'm currently running a bunch of errands for our company Christmas party, but I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a heads up. This week's video is going to be a little bit different format. We did a lot of jumping around of wiring cars to fabricating some parts on there to talking to some sponsors, and we are also going to be in here announcing the winners, the 3 winners of our subscriber giveaway. So make sure you tune in for that to see if you won on there. But it's kind of more of a vlog style, week in the life of type of a deal. Let me know if you actually like this format, and we can do more like that, or if you like more of the sit down and you know, explaining stuff and showing exactly what we're doing. So either way, that's going to be this week's episode. So I hope you guys like it. So let's get to the action. So we've got everything back on the front here. We've got the timing stuff taken care of on the front. We've got the fuel pump mounted out to that goes to the cam. Pops is running everything for the ignition system and such. Here is, you know, everything for our cam and crank signals on there that's going to be going into the ECU. Right now I'm going to be plumbing up the fuel system, getting the fuel tank. Everything plumbed up to here. We're going to tie some of these down so it looks a little bit better on there, and get everything going so that way we can figure out what we're going to need or want for our auxiliary fuel systems right there. Most likely we're going to use a modified MagnaFuel ProStar 500 pump. And a return style regulator that is also boost reference. So we'll have a boost reference there, so when this turns on we can run that at, you know, say 25 or 20 psi, but when it turns on at 20, you know, if we turn it on where we're at 28 pounds of boost, that's going to be stacked on top of that 20, so we're going to be 48 psi or more type of a deal of fuel pressure, which will then be enough to get past any of the boost there, because we need to have a higher pressure of fuel pressure than we do boost pressure, so that way it doesn't backfeed in there. So let's go ahead and get all of the fuel system on, and we'll even go over the fuel pressure regulator that we use for a blow-through carbon. Okay, so we have the fuel system pretty much put up back on here. It's a fairly simple fuel system to put on, but I want to go over it so you guys can see kind of how this is done and kind of what's making it work. So when we go to the dyno and we're making changes, you guys also understand what's going on. So we have our fuel cell that mounts over here, and this is our feed line. This gets tied up on there, and that's actually at the back, at the bottom of the tank. It comes up to our mechanical fuel pump. Now our mechanical fuel pump is actually camshaft driven. It's got a hex on here that goes into a drive that bolts to the camshaft. It comes out into this really big regulator. Let's go over here. Now on this regulator we have 4 ports that go to the bowls. You know, 2 on this side, 1 on each there, and then 2 over there on the same. It comes up. This is a low speed bypass on here. So basically what this does is when we are idling, not under boost or the engine's in vacuum, this will open up and dump back extra fuel, and when we only idle at like about 2 psi of fuel, so we're not dumping fuel in. And that way it doesn't overpower the needle and seats up here, you know, because you have a needle and seat like that, it can overpower that. But once it gets to 0, because it's vacuum operated on here, once it gets to 0, this will close off, and then we immediately have 10 psi of fuel pressure. This bottom one is going to be our main return on there. So any fuel that's not being used while we're under boost and everything is getting dumped back on that. So that's kind of how everything works, and then we have a reference right here that goes up. See if I can get it with one hand. Nailed it. We'll have to change that around a bit, but that goes there. So we have a rising rate from the carb hat of 1:1 here. So we'll run 10 psi all the time here. And then when it's at, say, 15 psi, we're running, you know, 25 plus psi of fuel pressure to get past that. So that's how that works. Now we're going to go ahead and figure out what we need for a fuel pump and all the fittings on that, so we can get that figured out for the auxiliary fuel systems, which will be controlled by the Holly. We can turn it on at a certain boost level or whatnot on there. It'll turn on one solenoid, and then it can turn on the other at a higher one as well. So let's go ahead and get those kind of figured out, and then we'll check in with Al. He's kind of working on all the sensors and the O2 sensor right now and things like that. So we'll check in with him in just a sec as well. All right, guys. So we have a little bit different deal I'm doing real quick. Just something that I kind of wanted to do, and it's kind of a nice gift is what we're doing. So I'm heading over to another local YouTuber's shop. They're about 4 or 5 blocks away from our shop, and we're driving over right now. They do a lot of 4-cylinder and import stuff, and they're going to be doing some LS stuff coming up soon, I know. But the channel is Unified Racing channel on YouTube here. And we're gonna bring the two main guys over there a gift. I got 2 of these tumblers made with their Unified logo on there to surprise them. It's kind of one of those kind of neat things. I know that they'll like it, but it's one of those where they probably wouldn't order it for themselves. So I ordered it for them. So. We're over here at Unified Racing West Campus because we came to bring a gift for the guys of Unified Racing over here. What's going on? Oh, hell yeah!
Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
Awesome.
Adam was in on this. He had to make sure that I knew when you guys were going to be here.
The secret.
So we can show it. The camera hasn't even seen that yet. Look at that.
Yeah, that's
like
sweet.
So,
see what happens when you get more subs?
Yeah, YouTube's just
all the money.
350 subs, and they're just fucking throwing zero money at me.
You remember last week when it was at 309? Like you're just still waiting.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, so I am over at in our machine shop area. I'm at the lathe. What we are working on right now, that auxiliary fuel system, we have to have a regulator on that, and we need to have a way to bring the fuel from the regulator and line area up to the solenoids. So what we are doing is we're going to be making a log that goes on here that's going to attach to the fuel pressure regulator. And then we'll have 2 ports that come up to that. So we're going to feed it with a 10 line coming from our pump, which you'll see in just a moment. It's going to come up through the log, and then there's going to be a regulator there to regulate the line pressure, and then dump everything back out on there. So we're going to try to run this at about a base pressure of around 40 psi, because we're going to turn the fuel system on around 25 or 30 psi of boost, and it is going to be boost referenced. So when it does turn on, it's going to be up in that 55 psi range or higher. I mean, well, closer to 65 psi. So we should have plenty of fuel as long as the inside diameter of the lines hold enough. So we're going to go ahead and get that. I'm going to show you exactly what regulator we're using and what we're going to do for machining on this. So over here on my extremely fancy table, which is a chair, we are going to be using a Fuel Lab regulator. We've used these on quite a few different projects around the shop. We've had very, very good luck with them, and they are fairly inexpensive on there. These are, roughly in that $150 range. It is a 10 ORB inlet, so we are going to make a fitting because I don't have one on hand. We're going to take a number 10 to 1/2 inch NPT. We're going to cut this off, put an O-ring right in here, and this will screw in. It'll actually be on this side because we're going to put a plug over here. So it's going to go like that. We're going to walk over here to the lathe, and this is going to get machined and put into here. This will then thread in, and this will all be one complete setup, just like this on here, so it'll look like that. And then we will have ports coming up right here, and then the line will come into here. So that's what we're going to be making on here. Let's go ahead and get to that. You ever start working on something and then realize there's a better or easier way to do it, and you go, man, I'm a flippin' idiot? I just had one of those moments. You guys just watched all of the turning this down, and I just started to tap everything, and a 1/2-inch NPT tap is a big tap. I mean, it's a lot to get through there. So I got the correct size. We actually used the boring bar. I went back in with the boring bar off camera, and I bored it to the correct size, and it still was just a pain in the butt. And then I remembered I have a TIG welder. So why am I wasting time tapping this? Because it's never going to come apart. So I got the boring bar back out. We opened this up. Hey, look at that. We can turn this all down, all this right here, so it's just got that little bit to center it. Hey, I can lay a bead right on that. Turn the taper down off of this, put an O-ring on here, bam, we have an O-ring fitting for going into there. Alright, now we've turned down, this was the NPT on there, we turned that down, and then we got rid of everything up top here, because that's going to make this an O-ring. We'll put an O-ring right here. We'll weld this on, it'll get flipped, and we're going to weld this on, and our number 10 coming from the pump is going to go on here. This will go into our fuel pressure regulator with an O-ring there, and then once we see where it turns and locks in with the O-ring on there, we will mark which way is straight up to then drill and tap, or just drill and weld for all we care, remember, because we don't have to tap everything. We can drill and weld on there the number 6 fittings that go up to our solenoids. So let's go ahead, weld all this up, get this going, so then we can show you guys what our pump setup and everything is going to be. Here is our final product. It's in the mess of lines that we have here, but the log coming from our fuel pump, which we are going to be running the MagnaFuel ProStar 500 pump. We run it wide open, so down here the bypass is completely blocked off, and then we run a regulator at the end to then dump everything back. So you can either take your bypass here and you can like re-shim it or drill holes or do things like that to get the pressure up, or you can run it wide open and use a regulator over here to then regulate all of the line pressure here and dump everything back. So we don't have everything completely on there, but you can see what we're doing. We have the pump here coming through our -10 feed line into our custom-made log. From the log, it's going to then go up to each solenoid, and then comes through here. There's a plug on the other side over here that we're going to put in, and then we'll have a return line come back, and we'll have to put another bung or something here on the tank. So, but yep, that's how we're going to run that. And then Al, who is in there wiring right now, he's finishing up a bunch of that. It will have it so at a set boost pressure here from turbo will activate kit number 1, and then it will activate kit number 2 at another boost pressure to keep everything going. So that is what we were building there. I know a lot of people are tuning in because they want to see kind of what some of the wiring and everything happens on this Dominator system. I would love to sit here and show you every single wire and every little input and everything, but we're already 9 days into wiring this, so there's no way we could do that. But what we can do is I've got Al over here. Dad is been doing the wiring. He's been learning it. He's never really tackled something that's this big. So we're going to ask him a couple of questions about it that may help you guys out.
The hardest part for me is wrapping my mind. I'm an old guy. Okay, I'm used to the carburetors. I'm used to all that, the old school stuff. Everything is moving to the new electron fuel injection and the new computers and everything else. So the toughest part for me has been learning all the terminology. As far as once I learn the terminology and what that means as far as what it does, then I can kind of go back and go, oh, I understand it now. But when you get a packet and it's got all these acronyms in there of IPU minus and P plus and the PW minus and all this other stuff, you're kind of wondering to yourself going, what does all that stuff mean? So it's just a matter of knowing what you want the car to do, how you want the car to react, and then figuring out what you have to do, which wires you have to hook up to make it do that. There's a lot of different books, a lot of different stuff up there on top of this car that I have to refer to.
What, after learning how all of this is working and all the wiring on this,
Yep.
What are you most excited about for going to this? And it could be more than one thing that you're excited about, but now that you've learned more of some of the stuff that it can do and how this wiring is working.
Sure. Okay, so we've gone from the grid to the Dominator system.
Yep.
So we've taken out the grid. The grid can do a lot of things, but the Dominator can do so many things as far as what you can do to alter your timing curve on, say, a spool up, where you can play with that to spool up and get it to do it faster. It's got many more fail-safes in here where you can set parameters that if your car or whatever it might be, say you want it to be at a 4.2 O2 level on methanol, and you can set it at, say, 5.2 to shut everything off to save your engine. So there's a lot of fail-safes built into this that you can do if you know how to go in there and do it, that will actually save things if you mess up. Another thing is being able to control multiple aspects off of one system. Dump valve versus trans brake. Every time that dump valve is open, it creates heat in the transmission. So you don't want to be on the dump valve all the time. So you can go in here, you can make it so that the dump valve is only on until you hit a certain amount of boost, and then it will turn off so you can stage right and it doesn't create heat in the transmission. That's something you couldn't do with the grid. Or at least I never knew how to do with the grid. Please don't, if you see the wiring mess I've got here, disregard that, because as we're going through here, we're just trying to figure out lengths of wires to terminate them and where we need to run them to. Then once all that's done, I'll go back here and I'll clean up all the wiring and get it all tied in and all that stuff. But it's just a matter right now, it's just finding out where everything goes, where the wires go to, what's the best route to take them on the car.
I see there's a box you mounted on the wall up there. Let me.
Yeah, that right there is the EGT controller.
Okay.
We've got 8 EGTs on here because we're single turbo. We've only got a single O2 sensor on here. But we're going to monitor all 8 EGTs. We're going to monitor the O2 sensor. We'll tie them in, put some fail-safes in there that if the EGTs get over a certain temperature, it will shut down. Same with the O2 sensor. If it gets too lean, it will shut it down. Things that possibly could save us thousands of dollars in the end are going to be able to be done right from this box here. This just fits best for what we're doing.
Yep.
Okay. And because so many people around this area and that we know have previous experience with this Holley ECU, the Dominator ECU, it's very easy for us to support each other on it as far as the knowledge of what goes on inside there.
Absolutely.
So that was a major decision on our part also.
Hey everyone, I want to sit there and truly I want to say thank you to everybody for helping us grow. Over the last 28 days, or about 1 month, we've had a huge uprise in subscribers, which is awesome. I really can't thank you guys enough for this. But our winners, what we did is we took all the guys who had commented on there. I was just writing everything down, so I don't need that right now. But we went on there and how many people had commented. We put it in a random number generator, and we did that, and all we did is just count it down there on a list of everybody from when the first comment down on there. And our winners for the 3 winners are Hammer Down Racing. You are going to be getting a Bad Influence t-shirt, one of the sticker packs, and one of the actual aluminum rods that came out of our Hemi engine from last season. Brent Fay, he comments on a lot of stuff. He also does a lot of engine build stuff. He's also going to get a t-shirt and sticker pack and one of the rods that came out of the engine. And then our last one is going to be Jeffrey Richards. Jeffrey, you also will be getting a t-shirt, sticker pack, and one of the aluminum rods that came out of our engine. So we will get a hold of you guys, or you guys can get a hold of us, and we just need your shipping information, and we're going to put it on the box. No cost to you guys. We're sending that all out to you. This is all in preparation while we're going to get ready to go to Radial versus the World down in South Georgia. We're already locked in for that, and it's going to be a really fun time. So thank you guys again. Like and share and subscribe. I appreciate every single person that does on there. I really do. It makes me smile every single time I see something like that when people share it on there. It's great. So our plan is when we go down to Georgia, while we're there, we want to do an upload every single day of behind the scenes, because a lot of people watch the live feed, but they don't get to see what's happening in the pits. Watch for the next episode. We're going to be hopefully firing the car off, and we're going to go over some of the programming of the Holley Dominator system in the ECU on there. And until next time, guys, be safe out there.